Yeah. So what else about the value that you received from being in a group? So you had the support. I love the fact that you're talking about like, exponential change, because that's really what we teach, that a group is an accelerator. Some days you like it and some days you don't, right? Because some days it is a reflection, right, that somebody else maybe is getting past something that you still struggle with, like you just said. And or there is that sort of accountability where we rise to the occasion, because that's human nature. Human nature rises to the expectations of its peers. What would you say was the value of working in a group and being in a group situation? And would you say, I think you might have already, that your five has up leveled?
Absolutely, absolutely. My five is up leveled, and it's again not like I'm just like slashing people out of my life left and right, anything like that. It's that just bringing in people that I want to be around more, and up leveling in that regard. So I think being in a group is definitely helpful. But another thing that I think this is, I don't know, maybe it's not concrete. I feel like it is the bragging. We are taught to not brag, to be humble, and to just be nice, right? And modest, and the bragging has been hugely helpful. And I practice this now, in my outside life, outside of the group, right? So like I do it with my sister all the time, and we'll do like, okay, stop, like, we have to do a brag right now. And it just shifts your mindset immediately. If like we're calling, be like, oh my god, can you believe that so and so did this? Oh my god, I can't believe that this is, and the dog and the whatever. And but it's like, okay, stop, let's just brag about something awesome. And then it's more fun to talk about that than
Yes.
whatever garbage before. So that I think is concrete. I think the bragging thing, which is just a thing I wasn't in the habit of doing before. Habits don't have to be painful and horrible to get you to succeed.
Yes, yes. So I want to give just a little explanation for those people who are not members of our programs, or who are potential members of our programs, a little bit of what the bragging is. I love that you brought that up. Absolutely love that. We used to start our groups with a celebration, right? We used to bring everybody in, drop into that present moment like we did today. And we used to start with a celebration. And then there was something that shifted for me. And I was like, we need to do more than celebrate. We really need to brag, right? We need to brag and say, I was a badass today because, right? And not bragging in a way that's hurtful to someone else necessarily, right? Like, but bragging about the idea that we're like firing on all cylinders, right? One of those days where you're really on, or where you accomplish something that was scary, right? Or something new. Or, my favorite brag is when we add a zero to the income on a monthly basis, right? My favorite brag ever. But so true to what you just said, Bethany, we are, especially as women, not taught to brag, right? We are taught to be humble. We are taught to be, tasteful when you're talking about money, right? Or accomplishments, right? But one of the things that was so wonderful was to see women really thrive, especially in our ascension group, with this idea of bragging, because even simple things like mothering, right? When you kill it one day, you just killed it, right? Because of all the other days you felt like maybe you didn't, right? That sometimes you do need to just speak it out loud, right? But the other piece to that, and I can get super excited about this stuff, but the other piece that's so important is that we change our neurochemistry when we drop into that place that allows us to celebrate or brag, right? But then that body gets flooded with the neurochemicals that are for thriving, that are for anti-aging, right? So dopamine, serotonin, all those things that help us to then calm all that adrenalized habitual thought and rumination and behavior, quite frankly, right? It helps us to then go balance our neurochemistry in a way that gets us back to neutral, right? And that's like a key, that's a key role that we talk about in our programs, are working from neutral so that we can stay focused on that end game, right? So the bragging allows us to get out of that habit of complaining, right? Out of the habit of focusing on what's not working, right? Because that seems to be everybody's habit. And especially the way that women share with one another, you don't have to be 2 seconds into a conversation where everybody's starting to jump in on, what it's like to date during the pandemic, or what it's like to, deal with certain kinds of clients, what it's like to deal with ex-husbands, what it's like to deal with current husbands, right? And women will jump in, and now all of a sudden we've all gotten, drilled down into this big hole of complaints, right? And so it is a total shift to be in the habit of celebrating, right? And the habit of focusing on what's working instead of focusing on what's not working. And as you can tell, I could get on my little soapbox about this because it is the greatest anti-aging mechanism, managing our own chemistry, right? But also interrupting those neural pathways that create habitual thought, right? And habitual anxiety and depression for some people. And, the need to do coffee during the day and wine at night, all of that self-soothing that we can actually do through our chemistry without something outside of us, right? And what better way to enjoy something outside of us when the need isn't such a driver, right? Like when we can manage our own need, then we don't have to have that thing outside of us, right? So I love that celebrating and bragging has become, something that you can use in all of the areas of your life. That makes me super, super happy. Anything else about the group programs?